Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. So I haven't done a video for quite some time, but I was recently, actually just got back last night from a retreat, which was simply amazing actually, because for the first time in my life, and I've been on many retreats, but I've always known other women that were going on this retreat. And so I never really was alone per se. And so I went on this retreat and went by myself, got my own hotel room, and I walked into my hotel room and I put my bag down and I just stood there for a minute. And I looked around and I listened and I heard nothing. And I got kind of emotional because I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this is my room all by myself? You guys, that was a really defining moment for me that I have not taken enough time to get away, okay? And which I should say I've gotten away, but not alone, okay? And I need more of that in my life is what I came to a conclusion on. And I when I explored why I haven't done that before, because now I'm at a retreat, right? We're diving deep. And, you know, we've got these areas of our life where we really need to have balance, correct? So one of the areas of our life is our cozy or our downtime, okay? We can't just be constantly going, and doing the hustle and the grind and not taking time to actually fill our cup. Because when we don't do that, it's almost impossible to keep pouring from an empty cup. When you fill your cup, you are more able to freely give more of yourself in a more loving way. You're going to be more patient. You're going to have a higher tolerance level. You're not going to be snippy, snappy, exhausted, that type of thing. So while I have created some of that in my life by taking time to meditate or read, I realized that getting away and out of my home, out of my city, out of my state even, was so refreshing for me. And so back to why I haven't done that earlier is that the story that I was telling myself of why I haven't done that is that it was selfish of me. Selfish of me to want to just go away on my own, not take my family, not take my kids, not take the husband. And that was being selfish. Okay, so that was a story that I was telling. It was a BS story. Okay, and I'm happy to report it's been uncovered, peeled through the layers, got to the reasoning. And then I took it a step further and realized that I have watched all the women in my life, from my mother to my grandmother, put everybody first, okay? And so as a little girl, and little Trisha, let me tell you, she watched everything. I am very much a type of person that I've learned how to study people, okay? And I notice behavior, I notice tone, I notice body language, and most of that comes from what I learned how to react and notice behavior, and therefore I stayed out of the way because I could tell if feathers were getting ruffled, so then I would retreat. I didn't really trust a lot of the adults to provide safety for me as a little child, so I learned how to read behavior. I became very much an empath. And so it just continued into adulthood of being able to read energy, read people. It wasn't until I learned how to notice that, first of all, I had this awareness that I had this ability that is kind of crazy. Like I tell people, I probably should have gone into like that as a profession, like a professional, what do they call that? Where you like read body language for the feds, like criminals and things like that, because I can see what I think a lot of people do not, unless you fine-tuned this within you. And so this coping mechanism as a child turned into a beautiful gift into adulthood, because I am able to sit down with my clients, I can read them, and I can, as I'm asking questions, I can see when their body shifts and when their tone shifts. I can see when they contract, and I can see when they expand and get excited. I can read energy. So if you come up to me and you say, and I say, how are you doing? And you say, oh, I'm great. If your body doesn't match your tone, I'm gonna say bullshit. No, you're not. Okay. So, and it obviously depends on who that is. But if it's somebody that I know really well and I'm comfortable with, I'll be like, are you really? Let me ask you again. And so it's turned into a gift. And so anyway, I'm going on a completely different path than I originally wanted to go on here. But the moral of the story is to really get curious. Get curious about what is coming up for you. Get curious about if there's something that you desire more of in your life, why haven't you created it yet? Okay, what are the layers underneath your why? Okay, so if I say to you, why don't you have that? And you say, well, I don't have enough money, otherwise I would. Okay, well, wait a minute now. Now, where did you learn that story, or how did you create that limitation? Because our mind does a really beautiful job of convincing us of different stories, and that's through conditioning that we learned as children. We watched our parents say, we don't have enough money for that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Who the hell do they think they are throwing around their money like that, right? So you get this negative impression of what wealth and success looks like. And so you are creating this limitation for yourself around money, around success, around what's possible for you. Or you said as a little kid, like I did, and I said, you know what, I really want to be a police officer when I grow up. I don't know, I was like yay high. And I heard, you can't do that. And I remember sitting there and I felt like everything drained out of me. And I was like, had my parents noticed, they would have saw me sink down into my chair. And I said, you're right, I can't, to myself, right? Now, had they said, I believe in you, you can do anything that you put your mind to. Now, chances are I might not have become that police officer, and I didn't, clearly, but it was the belief, right? So did you have people believing in you? Or did you have people around you that were constantly doubting your greatness because they doubted theirs? Okay, so a lot of this stuff is passed on to us through teachers, peers, parents, grandparents, ancestral. Okay, so like I said, I was able to discover in my observation of my watching other women in my family, how they continuously put themselves last, that this was a learned behavior. And so having that awareness means that I can tune into that now and I can say, is this what I want to create? Is putting myself last? Do I want to constantly feel fatigue, wore out? Like, okay, what do you need? And then constantly abandoning myself to fulfill somebody else's need. Okay, so this is the other thing that we can get into. And I don't want to go on too much of a rampage here, but you have the right to say no. And how that other person receives that has nothing to do with you. Okay? A lot of times we're worried about that. Well, we don't want to upset them. We don't want to make them disappointed. And we keep like contracting to fit in, and you're worrying about somebody else's feelings that you are not responsible for. Okay? This is how we create boundaries. It doesn't mean that we're insensitive, okay? But this is how we teach people how we value ourselves. Now let that sink in. If you have constantly allowed somebody to walk all over you and give them whatever they wanted, and you have a hard time saying no to them, and you've constantly have said yes, are you going to be met with some resistance when you start saying no? Hell yes, you are. So you need to get really firmly grounded. And I'm talking like your feet got the biggest roots that you can imagine. Think of a tree grounding into the ground, has this beautiful, massive root system that's just expanded out. And these roots are so incredibly strong that when the wind comes, this tree, you are so strong, and you are able to firmly plant your feet into the ground and become unwavered in your ability to love yourself and to set firm boundaries and say, I love you, but I need space, I need time, I cannot provide that for you right now. Now is not a good time. Okay? And breathe. It's all about prioritizing yourself, creating awareness, defining what it is that you really desire for yourself, and then making the necessary changes to do that. Okay? So, just a quick little snippet. I feel like I could go on and on forever. But if you desire to dive deeper into this with me, I'm here for you. Reach out, and I hope that you were able to take something away from this video.